there's so many things going on in your life, you struggle to prioritize your marriage.
What's up, real ones? Welcome back to the Relationship Podcast, where we're bringing the real back to relationships.
Yes, sir.
I'm Asha Still.
I'm Devin Still.
And we're so excited that you guys are tuning in today with us.
Yeah, because as always, we got another great episode for y'all today. But before we get into it, you want to let them know about anything?
Well, you guys, I want to share with y'all that we celebrated our baby girl Aria's 4th birthday.
Crazy.
Yesterday, but we actually had a party for her last Saturday, right? And it was an amazing time, okay? Right. First off, I had been planning her party for maybe like a month or so now.
Probably since like last year. But
it was a while. Yeah. But I was excited. I think we both was excited, but I was excited because this was the actual first birthday that she was able to celebrate with family and friends in person. You know, the first 2 birthdays was a little bit, shaky because COVID. Yeah. So we had like a virtual birthday party where we were celebrating with her and family and friends.
Whack, by the way.
Her 3rd birthday party was amazing because we went to Disney. We took a family trip to Disney, but it was just a select amount of family members that could travel with us. So being able to go back home to Delaware and have all our family and friends come and celebrate with her, it was amazing. And it was at the trampoline park, which was, the kids' kingdom. They just loved it. She loved it. And it was a great time. Everyone enjoyed it. It was a Barbie theme because she's on this Barbie wave right now.
And she didn't even watch the movie.
No.
I wouldn't dare let her watch the movie. She's not going to watch the movie. I heard some crazy stuff about the movie, but I don't know why she's on this Barbie too.
I don't know. She just started watching it one day and like she's been on this Barbie wave. So she had a Barbie theme party, which was amazing. She was so excited. If y'all haven't checked it out, y'all can go watch a little bit of it. And just like the videos and pictures and stuff on her Instagram. But she loved it. She had a great time. Yeah. And we had a great time as well.
You cried yesterday.
I did.
Why don't you tell them about that? How you broke down in like real tears. These wasn't no fake tears, y'all. These was real tears.
Well, y'all, if y'all don't know, y'all should know. I'm very emotional, okay? Especially when it comes to my children.
Everything in life. Food. Me.
Food.
Everything.
Oh my goodness. But no, okay, so
she'll cry about some good some good dessert. Let me tell you.
I can't.
What is that joint from Mastro's?
The butter cake.
She'll cry about some good butter cake.
I'm not gonna cry about it. I'm not gonna cry about it.
Once she'll cry, offer her some food.
I can't. But you know what? So listen, on the previous podcast, we talked about how, to me, it was important for us to create certain memories and everything like that. And just measuring them for each birthday to see how tall they grew in the household and everything like that, right? So, of course, Aria's 4th birthday was yesterday and we measured her. And I looked at the wall from when she turned 1 and we first measured her to 4. And it made me so emotional. Now, granted, I get so emotional if she does something new or says something or goes somewhere different or whatever the case may be. I'm always emotional because I think just parenting in general is such an amazing and beautiful journey.
Watching the human grow, because you don't really remember when you was growing up. You didn't have an outside perspective.
I don't remember that.
But you didn't have an outside perspective. But when you're actually watching a human going through their different developmental stages, it's really crazy.
Yeah, it's amazing. So just to see the growth on the wall, dang, like I said, when we moved here and her 1st birthday came around, she was 1 and, she just started walking. And to see the growth from then to now, it's just
she started crawling. I remember the video. She crawled here.
No, what?
She crawled here.
I'm talking about when we measured her when she was.
Okay.
She was able to stand up. She
couldn't keep up.
Stand up when she was crawling. Okay. She could have, but that's not when we measured her.
My bad.
Yeah, But so it just made me emotional because it's just dang, she really growing up. And
Amaya was looking at you like you was crazy.
She was. And then it's just your brain just starts to have this domino effect where it's dang, she just turned 4. Look how much she's grown. Next year she'll be 5. She'll be going to kindergarten. She'll be in school around more people. And it's just you just go into this domino effect and you get so emotional. So that happened, y'all. But I'm okay now.
Amaya was looking at you crazy because she was literally talking to Amaya, talking about, when we first moved in here, she was your age. She looked as tall as you. And Amaya's looking like,
what?
Mom, what are you talking about? My first words was dad.
Get out of here.
Her first words was dad. I don't understand what you're saying right
I'll let
now.
you have that.
But yeah, man, I think it is, to see her turn 4 years old, it just lets you know how fast life goes by. And if you're not being intentional or paying attention, you miss out on so many memories that you're going to wish you would have paid attention to when they get older. Because soon, like you said, she'll be going off to school. That's going to fly by. Elementary school, middle school, high school, then you're going off to college. And I think oftentimes, I mean, I can't even speak for this because oldest child is 13, but just looking at, you know, even from our upbringing and other people's, it's like sometimes parents don't realize how important those years were until their kids are older and they're out the house, and now you're like begging your child to come visit you or come see you, but they're starting their own families, they're starting their own life. They don't have a lot of time. So parents don't really realize that until they get older and they look back and wish they would have spent more time. So I'm glad that we're trying to be intentional about trying to create those memories and spending time with our kids now, so we don't regret not doing that when they get older and they're out creating their own family and stuff. Yeah.
I think it's definitely the irony of like just growing up and raising children. It's like a like you said, a full circle moment where when you are a parent, it's like you're kind of like in the hustle and bustle of just, you know, trying to get through life. You're trying to make sure that you're providing for them. You're trying to just get through the day to day and still like have a piece of time for yourself as well. So sometimes you lose track of the time and the moments where you could be like focusing and really savoring that moment that you're having with them because of life and everything that comes about. And like you said, then once they're older, you realize you have a little bit more time because now you don't have to do so much as far as hands-on with the children because they're off doing their own thing. And then it's like, well, dang, I want that time back, right? Yeah. And it is very hard to deal with. And I think that's why we talk about it a lot, about being more intentional and being intentional like we had been with our family, because we know that those moments, they go like this. And it's really important to make that impact on them now, like you said, so that when they do get older, they want to come back home. They want to be around us. They want to spend time with us. And not just like, you know what, I can't wait to get out the house.
Yeah. And now we got all the warm and fuzzy stuff out the way. I'm going to throw my keep it real moment in about the birthday party, right?
Oh, my goodness.
Because Asha has this infatuation with this cake, this bakery back home.
Oh, my goodness.
Called Canyons, but may have gave her some like fire.
I threw the name out there.
I don't care. I don't care because I was pissed. I was pissed and I held my composure while I was there. So now it's my time to let it go because I'm keeping it real about how I truly felt. So she's in love with this bakery from back home. I don't know what they gave her when she was younger. It must have made her cry, made her very emotional, so she never let go of it.
I can't.
But she ordered this cake, this Barbie cake. Mind you, when I got the cake was fire. I'm not even gonna lie. Like the decoration was crazy. They did an awesome job making the cake. Let's just put that out there. But Arias' birthday started at 1:00. We had a pickup time for 12:00, right? So Asha's dad, Pops, if you're listening, you know, he went out there to go pick up the cake so that we could decorate the room for the party. He gets there at 12:00. They telling him that the cake is not ready. I'm like, all right, I can understand that because, you know, sometimes you may have started the day late. You may have took on too many cakes and you couldn't get them all out on time. So they said it'll be ready in an hour. So I'm like, all right, cool. It'll be ready at 1. I told Asha, I'm like, I'll go get the cake. You go ahead and start the party. And then we just going, you know, get this thing in motion.
Right.
So I go to go pick up this cake. Mind you, I ain't go pick it up at 1 because I ain't no rookie at this. I'm a vet. You say 1, I know you don't mean 1. All right. So I'm like, I give you an extra 30 minutes to get this cake ready. So I go there. There's 2 people in line before me. And they complaining about how their cake's not ready. And I'm like, all right, man, that sucks for y'all. I just went through this like an hour ago, but my cake about to be ready.
Right. Oh my
So I get up to the thing and I'm like, yeah, I'm here to pick it up. A cake for Asha still. She goes back there and was like, we're working on it. They're putting on the finishing touches right now for you. But we're going to have it out for you. But guess what? Let me tell you something. Your wife, she lucked up because she called in this cake about 3 weeks ago and she asked us to do a Barbie design. But we recently just found out that Barbie is like trademarking cakes. You can't have the Barbie design because they want a percentage of the cake. So y'all got it in there right on time. And in my mind, I'm like, why are you sharing this information with me? Because I don't care. But I feel like you're buttering me up right now to let me know that this cake is not really done and he's not putting on the finishing touches right now. Okay. And you're trying to make it seem like y'all did me a solid. So I'm like, all right, cool. I'm going to go over here and wait in the corner for y'all to give me the cake. Should be about 5 minutes. I'm going to be out of here and make it to the party. We straight. 1:30 turned into 2 o'clock, turned into 2:20. And I'm sitting here like, yo, you gotta be kidding me. But mind you, I'm trying to control my emotions and control my energy because inside I'm like, yo, I'm really missing my daughter's party because it was from 1 to 3 that we actually had the room. Mm-hmm. So I'm trying to control myself. I'm like, Devin, it's cool. The trampoline place about 10 minutes away. You get this cake in time, you'll get back there in time for at least 30 minutes of the party. Mm-hmm. 2:30 came. I'm like, yo, you gotta be playing with me. And I'm frustrated. I'm about to just leave and just be like, yo, I gotta make it to this party before they close the room on us. Mm-hmm. But I'm like, if I show back up without this cake, Aria gonna be pissed because what we gonna sing happy birthday to? So they finally came out around 2:38. And I didn't even say no. I just took the cake. She thanked me for my patience, whatever. I really wanted to cuss you out. I really did in my head though. I take the cake and I make it back in time. As soon as we get there, we sung happy birthday. Aria was all happy and stuff. Mind you, I was still pissed because I missed, darn near the whole party. But we ended up staying there till like 4 o'clock. So, I guess I had a good time. Mm-hmm. I missed, to me, what was the most important time, which is, the 1 to 3 o'clock to see everybody having fun. But to see the smile on her face when she saw that cake, it was like, all right, I guess the wait was worth it.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. When my dad called me and said that the cake wasn't ready, I was livid. I was livid because, like you said, I don't know. It's not an infatuation, but you know how when you're so used to something, mm-hmm. And we don't live in Delaware, of course, anymore. I had
to take a sip of water.
We don't live there anymore, so I don't know the new bakers and bakeries that's good and taste good. And
she was like 75. It's the same baker.
I have a very I'm very particular about my cakes, okay? Mm-hmm. I need them to taste my man. That's it. But
you need them to taste like your man.
Oh my goodness. What? It's always a point where you gotta go
that.
left.
Hold on, no. You just said I need them to taste like my man, okay?
I just do that.
Wow, I didn't know I was that delicious.
Okay, I need my cakes to taste a certain way. Which they have to be good. The cake for the birthday.
All right, I'm
not tasting cakes.
I'm tasting cakes. I'm tasting cakes.
I can't. Okay, so listen, y'all. I'm done with him. So yes, I have a certain taste palette that has to be it has to taste a certain way, okay? Mm-hmm. And I don't what is it, whipped cream icing? It has to be buttercream. The cake has to have a certain amount of moisture, texture, filling, all of that. So
it got to be moist. Definitely got to be moist.
Cut.
It's hot in here.
But
I'm
no,
sweating.
I can't with him. So listen, I'm used to that bakery, okay? Because their cakes, like I said, I've gotten cakes from them from when I was younger. When we went back home for birthdays, family member, family events and stuff like that, I've always ordered from there. Cupcakes, cakes, whatever, cookies, whatever. And so I didn't know that. I don't know if they're closing down, if they're moving, whatever's going on, shortage, what's going on, because I don't live there, right? So it's and my dad had told me too when he went there, he was like, oh, and you said the same thing. It looked like a deserted island,
yeah.
What is going on?
They're moving locations.
Yeah. So I had no idea, but I was livid because I'm we're here setting up, the party about to start. Like you say, you had to go and pick up Aria and drop her off, bring them back there. But then him having to go back and get the cake, it's like you say, you're away. And I'm just thinking in my head, okay, well, it's 1 something. So he'll be back by 2 something. And
I got back at 2 something, all right.
Yeah. But I'm just thinking, it was you'll be back by at least 2 o'clock. Right. But it was just a lot going on, and then me not realizing okay, I'm the host of the party. So I'm running around trying to juggle all of this. I'm running around in the trampoline park trying to juggle everybody and try to figure stuff out. And he's running around outside trying to figure the cake out. So we both was just running around doing a lot. But the most important thing was that Aria had a great time. She enjoyed herself. She was talking about it days after how much she loved her party and was able to see all her family. So we did it.
We did.
We got it done. What's
that song? Wordplay. We did it. We did it. What is it? Don't act like you don't know what song I'm talking about.
Word Party?
Yes.
We did math. But we didn't do math.
Well, I just said the we did it part.
We did it.
Now, let's get into today's episode. Now that we got the keeping it real moment out the way, I finally was able to...
Wait, we have a message from a real one.
What I said?
You want to get into the episode. You trying to jump right into it. We got to answer their messages, right, okay? Let's get it in. All right, you guys. So, getting into this message. It says... Let me get it together. Okay. Hi, Devin and Asha. I need your help. I've been married to my wife for a little over a year now. Before marriage, we dated for about 3 years and everything seemed perfect. We were best friends. We did everything together. We knew one another better than we knew ourselves. We stimulated each other mentally and physically. That's his thing. Mm-hmm. But a month into our marriage, everything changed. My wife started acting completely different out of nowhere. She stopped wanting to have sex. She doesn't want to sleep in the same bed together. She doesn't even want to get dressed in front of each other. It's crazy and confusing. I should have mentioned earlier that my wife went through a lot as a child as she was molested by a very close family member. We spoke about this when we first started dating and the effects never showed up then. So I'm not sure if that plays a part in what's going on now or if something else is going on. I don't know what to do. Can you please help?
Yeah, that's tough. I appreciate you being vulnerable and really sharing that with us. And I'm going to give you my thoughts on what I think is going on here. I believe that your wife is suffering from PTSD, which isn't uncommon for people who are victims of incest or have been molested by a close family member. What you would normally see happen is during that courtship phase where y'all are just in relationships, the effects really don't show up. They are not afraid to be emotionally attached to you. They're not afraid to express themselves physically with you, to have sex. But something happens on the day that you get married that changes the dynamic of your relationship. And that's that you become family members, right? You now become her family member by becoming her husband. And that triggers that PTSD. You see that happen a lot in these relationships. That triggers that PTSD where they no longer want to be intimate with you. They don't want to sleep in the same bed with you. God forbid, getting changed in front of each other, because it all just triggers that emotion or that time in their childhood when they were violated by a family member. So what I suggest you do is to go seek somebody that specializes in this, whether it's a therapist, an individual therapist for her to work on her PTSD on her own, but to also seek a marriage therapist where y'all can work on the issue together, because there's going to be a lot of things that she's going to have to do in order to overcome the traumatic event that she experienced. But there's a lot that you can do to support her during this time. And I appreciate you sharing that, because a lot of people go through this. They don't know what happens after the marriage and they feel like they can't do anything to fix it. But there are a lot of resources out there to really help you navigate these challenges.
Yeah, this is definitely a tough situation to be with. And I pray that y'all are able to go to the right person that's able to help her overcome that and heal from that. And that you're able to heal with her throughout that journey. Y'all can, thrive in your relationship, because it's tough. And like you said, a lot of people suffer from that. A lot of people suffer in silence. And even through that suffering, they don't see the other side. It kind of makes them separated. So hopefully through y'all going through counseling and getting the help that y'all need, that it can bring y'all closer together, and it can be able to maybe help other people, impact other people's lives as well. Because just hearing you say that so many people are affected by that and it doesn't show up until they're married. Yeah. Most people don't even know that. Yeah. So I just think in hearing that from us right now, and even with you guys, is you'll be able to not only change y'all lives and y'all relationship and y'all marriage, but maybe someone else that's around y'all that can be impacted by it as well.
Yeah, because I think, like you said, I think that is going to impact a lot of people because normally people are not vulnerable enough to share that story. So a lot of people do struggle. And when you don't know what's going on, it's hard to find a remedy.
Yeah.
Like once you have a name for it, once you understand what's going on, you can go out there and find the necessary resources to overcome those challenges. So like Asha said, I think that story, that message is going to help out a lot of couples out there because there are a lot of people, unfortunately, that have been molested by close family members when they were children, both men and women. So I think that this message from a real one will really help out a lot of people and help them understand some of the changes that they're going through in their marriage.
Yeah. So getting into today's discussion, today's topic, you guys, we had a lot of our real ones asking us to react to certain videos, right? Y'all tag us in certain videos that y'all see and y'all like, what's y'all thoughts?
Right.
And so we decided to dedicate this episode to you guys and giving our thoughts and reactions and opinions to all the, not all, because it's a lot.
It's only 5 of them that we picked out.
Some of the videos that y'all suggested that we comment on. So,
all right, so let's get into this first clip that we were tagged in.
You realize how the busyness of life can happen.
And you start to do a lot of things separately.
My ex said to me, and it broke my heart. Like, regardless of how he was to me and what we experienced, he experienced this. And I was like, wow, that broke my heart.
Aww.
Because he was like, you would cook a meal for us and you would feed us and you would go to your office.
Wow.
And I never knew.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like, I never knew that bothered him.
Wow.
And I'm thinking like, you guys are good.
I cooked. I did my job.
Yeah, like.
Ooh-wee.
And I didn't think you guys wanted me here anyway. You know, I thought you just wanted me to cook.
Oh.
You know?
Yeah.
And I don't know why that made me so,
yeah.
like, God,
yeah.
I wish I knew.
Yeah.
I wish I had a standard.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I think, and for a man too, but like, I wish he would have set the standard.
Yeah,
I wish he
sure.
would have been like,
this is what we're doing
gonna
as a
eat
family at the table.
Yeah, come eat. Like, what are you
with
doing?
your children and your husband.
Yeah, but I thought because I did my job. You wanted me to cook?
Yeah. That's tough. That was from the Know For Sure podcast. The co-host Megan, she was talking about her recent divorce that she went through. And I think that she was extremely strong in sharing that because it's tough to go through that publicly. But I think the strength of her showing that her vulnerability allows everybody who's in a marriage right now to actually learn from what she just shared. And I get what she's saying. Like, this happens in marriages a lot where there's so many things going on in your life. You struggle to prioritize your marriage, whether that be starting a business, having a podcast, having kids. There's so many things going on in life that if you're not intentional about prioritizing your marriage, you can slowly start to grow apart from each other without even knowing. I know when we look at the research, it says in order for you to have the minimum to have a healthy and happy marriage, couples have to spend at least 6 hours together a week. So right now, a lot of couples are not doing that. You may be in the same vicinity, you may be in the same house,
right,
but you're not being intentional about sitting down and actually spending time together.
Yeah.
So that was tough to hear, but I think that she provided a lot of valuable insight.
Yeah. I think it was it was very touching to hear her say that, just because, especially with her saying that she didn't know or think that they wanted her there, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes you get in the role or the mindset of, oh, I just have to do this, right? This is my duty. Like she was saying, oh, I'm here. The house needs to be clean. I'm cleaning the house. Y'all need to be fed. I'm feeding y'all. And you don't really think like, well, they need me to sit down or they need me in those moments. But I think it is so important to have those moments where you can sit down and connect with your family, because so much can be discussed, right? Even, for instance, with her finding out, like, you know, okay, if I had sat down and I would have opened the conversation up maybe for us to say, you know what, I enjoy you sitting with us. I enjoy this time for us talking. Maybe we should do this more often, right? I think a lot of times when we are so consumed by the roles that we play, the titles that we wear, the jobs that we have to do, that we miss those small opportunities to really connect with our family. And it could go a long way. And so I definitely understand and feel for her in that, because I know it's very easy to do.
Yeah. And she brought us something that I think is very important. She said that she wished her ex would have said something about it. And I believe it was in last episode where we talked about two factors that increase loneliness in marriage is conflict and self-disclosure avoidance. We don't like to bring up certain things because we're trying to avoid conflict in our marriage. We don't want to really disclose to our partner what we yearn for, what we really want, because we're trying to avoid conflict. But a simple conversation where it's like, hey, I know you out there grinding, you doing your thing, especially with the podcast, and I appreciate you cooking for us, but can you sit down because we want to eat as a family? A simple conversation like that could have had a drastic change or drastic impact on their marriage if he would have disclosed what he actually needed from her during that time. And I think even sometimes with us, we don't always do that, but it's imperative. It's so important for us to handle conflict in the right way and to disclose to our partner what we need, because we have these hidden expectations or needs from our partner. And if we don't disclose them, they can't fulfill those needs. So it's really unfair to them.
Yeah. I think the big thing about what she was saying, a huge takeaway, is creating those opportunities for rituals of connection, right?
Yeah.
And we talk about this before as well with our habits of connection that we do. We're just like waking up in the morning and how we interact with each other, right? Some of those things, how that could look for you guys as well, is maybe if it is y'all going out for dinner, having certain nights that's designated or weeks that's designated for y'all going out to eat, so that y'all can sit down and be intentional at that dinner. Not, oh, we just going because we just want to eat, but no, this is our time to take out for us to either sit down as a couple, or if it is a family, and be intentional with talking to each other. Or even if it is just you two having those moments where date nights where it's like, okay, we're going to go out, we're going to take ourselves away from our, mom, dad role, work and everything, and really be in tune with each other and just have a good time. Also, like I said, the waking up in the morning, when you wake up first thing in the morning and you're able to embrace your partner and just say good morning and hug them and let them know, like, I love you. Like, it starts your day off the right way. Right. And so I think those are just a few rituals of connection where you can be intentional with your partner and use that as an opportunity to grow and better learn your partner as well.
Yeah, I know before we even saw this, we had made the decision maybe a couple of months ago where it's like we're eating dinner as a family. Like, I know we have a lot of stuff going on, but this is something that we need to do, not only for our relationship, but for the parent-child relationship, our relationship with our children, to sit down and talk about how their day is going. I think another habit of connection that every couple should do is have those stress-reducing conversations at the end of the night where you just sit down and you just talk about each other's day. A stress that you're facing that's not induced from the relationship, but just from maybe it's your job, maybe it's running a podcast. You sit down and say, hey, what kind of stress have you been dealing with today? And then just be a listener. Like, let them vent to you, let them talk about, don't try to solve it unless they asking you to solve it, but just be somebody that they can just release that stress to. And then you just wrap up the question like, hey, how can I help tomorrow be less stressful for you? Right. So just by having that one ritual of connection where you're having that stress reducing conversation at the end of the night, that may take 30 to an hour. And that's what you got, a sixth of, if it's an hour, you got a sixth of the 6 hour minimum out the way. So just be cognizant, be cautious that you're making sure you're hitting that 6 hour minimum per week, that you're actually spending time with your family, so you can avoid this challenge that Megan just spoke about that a lot of married couples face.
Yeah. And one thing about us creating the habit of eating dinner together as a family, I think it's very important that when you do it together as a family, like if it is your spouse and your children, but also if someone is not in the household, to still do that. Because I noticed with us doing that, Aria, there's been times where she's eating, I'm still holding Amaya, trying to do stuff around the house. She's like, Mom, you gonna come eat with me? And so I think just having those connections and those habits forming, it's like, okay, it's an expectation for other individuals in your household. They're thriving for it. They're looking forward to having that moment to sit down and talk about their day or talk about what's going on with them personally. So I think just it shows up in different ways where it's like, okay, this is really making an impact. So I think that's why it's really important for you to be intentional with those connections.
Yeah. And I think that me and you decided to do that because it wasn't our norm. We didn't have a habit. I didn't grow up eating dinner with my family.
Yeah.
Like, that was just extremely foreign to me. I didn't understand the benefits of it. So, of course, you're going to bring into your relationship what you were shown or what you did when you were younger with your family. And since, you know, we didn't have that as children, we would come in, you just get your kids the food, you had the TV on or be on the phone or whatever, but we had to sit down where it's like, it's no TV, no phones at the table. We got to sit down and really talk as a family and really share what we're going through. And I think that it has, you know, been a huge positive change for us.
Yeah, definitely.
So, let's get into our second clip.
You are going to reach a very pivotal moment in your relationship where you are going to change. You are going to start saying exactly what's on your mind, exactly what your feelings are, and you're going to stop sugarcoating all of your deliveries on your thoughts and your opinions about things. Now, what's also going to happen is that the other person in this relationship is going to start questioning your behavior, asking you things like, what has happened to you? Why are you like this now? Why have you now changed? And what I want you to understand is that the reason why this moment in this relationship is super pivotal is because the only thing that's happening is that you're discovering now that you no longer want to be muted. You see, the entire relationship, you have showed up as a version of yourself that soothes them, that nurses their insecurities, that nurses their feelings, that makes sure that they feel bigger, right? That they feel good about themselves. But the only thing that it's done is it's muted you and your identity and your entire process of growth, okay? And what I want you to also understand is that you're not a bad person for speaking up. You're not doing anything wrong. At the end of the day, all you're doing in this very pivotal moment of this relationship is you're finally choosing you and you're choosing to not be muted anymore. You understand?
I mean, I think this is a good video. There are certain changes that I would make about what she said about how just say what's on your mind. Don't sugarcoat it. I agree. You don't want to sugarcoat something. You definitely don't want to be muted in a relationship. That's probably the worst feeling ever, when you feel like you can't share your inner world or your inner thoughts or your inner feelings with your partner. But I think you have to be careful with the delivery, because if your goal is to make this relationship work, you don't want to go from being muted to being distorted. And what I mean by that is when you are just saying whatever is on your mind without thinking about how you're going to deliver your feelings in your thought, your partner is going to hear you, but they're not going to hear you in the way in which you think. Like, you think that you're talking clearly, but what your partner really hears is this. You know what I mean? Like, when you're discussing, the whole point of speaking up is to be heard. And when you're delivering in a way where there's contempt and there's criticism, you're not heard by your partner. So they can't make the necessary changes that makes you feel valued in your relationship. So it's important. We talked about this in previous episodes about how to communicate your feelings, how to communicate your thoughts in a way where the 4 horsemen are not in that delivery. So I think, yes, you do want to speak up. You don't want to be muted in your relationship, but you also don't want to go from being muted to being distorted because you don't know how to effectively communicate your thoughts and your feelings and your needs in your relationship.
Yeah. I think this video goes really deep on certain points that wasn't touched, because one, just to begin with, we talked about going into your relationship and having certain standards and certain conversations, certain expectations, just being more intentional with getting to a point so that you don't get to that point where you feel that way. And I think overall that it's that intentionality that you carry that will say, okay, you know what, from the beginning, this is my expectation for our relationship. This is how I want to be treated. This is what I expect. And this is what I'm going to offer as well. So that it kind of alleviates that point where you feel like you've been muted, where you feel like you're undervalued or not appreciated
Mm-hmm.
because you've been having these conversations. You've been, having not just a surface level relationship or kind of like downing yourself for the person, right? And that's what most of the podcast when we talk about is how you can be more attuned and intentional with your partner and not feel like it's just one-sided.
Yeah.
So I think when you're doing that from the very beginning, it doesn't really leave room for this scenario.
Yeah.
But when it does show up in your relationship, because maybe this is something that you've been doing for quite some time outside of just romantic relationships, but even in your personal life with friendships or family members for years, maybe your childhood, where you've been this person who just kind of conforms for those around you. And so this is just the way that you've been living in life. So you had that moment where it's like, you know what, I want to come out of this.
Yeah.
And like you said, it can be hard and challenging for you to deliver that to a person that you're in a relationship, because now if they have been so used to that, then it's just like, okay, like you said, where's this coming from? And their response may not be what you're seeking.
And they shut down.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
and so I think it's important too, one, if you are feeling that way, to speak up about it. Because if y'all are in a healthy relationship, your partner wouldn't want you to feel that way, and they wouldn't want to be the one making you feel that way.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a conversation to be had. But the way that you go about it, like I said, it, like you said as well, is just how you communicate with your partner. And for example, in this particular situation, it's important for you to communicate with your partner in a certain way by, one, using I statements instead of you statements. That way that your partner doesn't feel like you're attacking them and their character, and you're just stating how you truly feel.
Right.
So, for example, if you're saying to your partner, I feel like when I communicate something, it's not registering and it makes me feel upset because I want to communicate my emotions so that you can hear it and we can better communicate together. So you kind of take it away from placing the blame on your partner. And in that moment, it allows them to be more receptive to say, okay, she's not attacking me. He's not attacking me. They're not trying to make me feel bad or make me the bad guy. So, okay, now I can listen, because I feel like automatically when someone is you or saying something where you're getting defensive, you stonewall, and it's just like you shut down immediately. Like you don't hear what they're saying, you hear what you want to hear, and it automatically feels like I said, you're stonewalling, but it's like kind of like a punching bag. Like, oh, you're saying this about me and I'm the worst person, this, that, and the third.
Use some you statements with me right now. Go through what you just said and use some you statements, because this is what the partner who's expressing themselves think that they sound like when they're just trying to communicate with their partner, but they're using you statements instead of I statements. I want you to act like you're fed up, right?
Yeah.
You no longer want to be muted. You feel like you're not heard in your relationship. And now you coming to me and you about to let me know how you feel without sugarcoating what you say. And this is, I want you to voice your frustration or your needs with me using you statements.
I'm frustrated because you don't listen to me. You don't hear me out. I try to tell you something. It goes in one ear and out the other. I've done this over and over again. It seems like we're always getting to this point because nothing is changing. You're not changing. And I just can't do it anymore.
Now I'm going to play this back for y'all of what I would hear from Asha if she took this approach to me.
I'm frustrated because you don't listen to me. You don't hear me out. I try to tell you something. It goes in one ear and out the other. I've done this over and over again.
So with that example, I think it's, like I said, it's very important for you to use the I statements versus the you statements, because it can quickly escalate or de-escalate a situation and allow that person to be more open to hearing what you have to say and more receptive, and for you all to better communicate. And then after using that, like I said, once that person is open and hearing you, it's very important for you to be intentional of what you're seeking.
Right.
Because a lot of times we'll say, oh, well, I need, more attention, or I need to feel loved. But then we don't know what that looks like.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't know how to put a word to it. So being intentional by saying what it is that expectation of what you need to feel love. What does that look like? Because you can't allow for that person to determine what that is for you, because it may look like something else for them. So I think once you are able to make those statements with the I statements and communicate to that person, your person, thoroughly, okay, now it is, well, what do you need from me exactly, so that I can provide that for you and we can overcome this.
Yeah. All right, let's get into this next one.
A woman should never ask a man to provide more than he can provide. That's wrong. A woman should always live within the man's means. And if the man has the means, great. If he doesn't, don't ask for it. And if you want more, work together to build it up.
I think there's a lot of validity to what she's saying, because I think that a lot of times when women get into a relationship, they get into a relationship with a man based off of what they believe his potential is and not where he's necessarily at in his life. And you'll see this a lot on, videos on social media where they say, would you be with a man who's making $40,000? And a lot of women say no, but some women say, yeah, but he got to eventually make six figures. Mm-hmm. And it's like, well, what if he never makes six figures? What if you get with him, he's making $40,000 and he doesn't really make much more than that? Will you just pick up and leave him? Mm-hmm. I think it's important when you're getting into a relationship to say baseline, if he never makes more than this, can I still make this relationship work? And I think that you got to answer that question truthfully, because let's just say your standards is he got to make six figures, cool, do what you need to do, but don't get into that relationship expecting him to make more or putting the pressure on him to deliver a certain lifestyle to you that he can't currently do and probably will never be able to do, because a lot of people have that ceiling where they don't feel like they can make more. A lot of people struggle to grow, although you will want them to grow. So I think in terms of a relationship, it's important to sit down and have a conversation about your aspirations and your goals, because you don't want to be stuck in the same life, especially if inflation's going up, the cost of living's going up. You're going to have to find ways to make more money, especially if you're having kids. But if you're sitting down with your partner and y'all are setting these relationship goals, then y'all should both be striving towards it. Mm-hmm. If you're planting that seeds in the relationship, you both have to water it in the relationship. Mm-hmm. And that's why I agree with her. You got to live within the means until y'all both figure out a way to grow, and then y'all can expand the way that y'all are living y'all life.
Yeah. I think for one, just being honest. Yeah. Like if you ask yourself the question, I don't see myself being with this person, if this is what we're going to be at financially for however long, then just be honest about that. Right. Not expecting that, okay, well, if they here right now, then in the next 5 years, they need to be at this point. Right. Because there's no guarantee that could happen. Right. And then you're putting yourself in a situation where you're trying to force or change someone to do something on your time frame. And if it doesn't happen, then it's just like, okay, well, you set that up. You put yourself in that position. But I think the great thing about having that conversation and being intentional is because when you are placed in a man's life to be his helpmate, you can be able to speak life into him so that he can get to that point or surpass certain expectations, right? Yeah. And to live outside of those means for both of y'all is like you're not at that cap. The sky's the limit because you're sitting up there, instilling things and just like being intentional in his life to let him see. I think a lot of times when you're in a relationship, and we talked about this before, like you said, people get into a relationship and they may see the potential in somebody that they may not see in themselves. Mm-hmm. And instead of you putting a standard or expectation on that person that, oh, he has to make this, if pressure. You see that, okay, for example, oh, he's great at the work that he does now, right? He has great leadership skills, but he's not in a leader position. Okay, well, how can I, as his helpmate, get him to see that potential that he has as a leader? Mm-hmm. Not only within our household that he's a leader, but he's a great leader for those that he's working around. Mm-hmm. So maybe it is me talking to him about leadership conferences or putting him in positions to go to certain places and do certain things so that he can work towards that. So that it's now not you forcing him to get to that position, but you're helping him to get to that position. I think that's the key to a relationship, and to what she was saying, where I feel like it's truth, but it's differs because you can help that person get to that certain position when you do see that potential in them, not to just force them to get to a position or live a certain lifestyle that you're hoping that they get to no, that's not how it's going to work.
Yeah, I think there's a difference between provision and pressure. I think that you're a testament to that. You're a great example of that, of where we may have been able to live a certain lifestyle when I was in the NFL to when I walked away from football, there were some adjustments we need to make. And you didn't pressure me to provide outside of my means at the time, because the amount of money I make dropped leaving the NFL. And you never put the pressure on me like, I still want to do this. I still want you to buy me this. You live within our means. And as we sat down and we developed goals for ourselves, it wasn't, yo, I need you to do this so I can go buy this. It was like, all right, here's what we want to do with our family, with our union, with our marriage. Let's see how we can come together to provide that for our family. Not necessarily you go out there and do this, because I'm seeing people online buying this, doing this for anniversaries, doing this for birthdays. You need to be able to do the same thing for me. And when you don't, as a man, when you don't have that pressure on you to do something like right away, it gives you that freedom to really go out here and truly find out who you are and to find ways to really provide for your family. So you have always really been, like I said, a great example of that, because you never put the pressure on me to do stuff outside of our means.
It was because me personally, but for both of us, I feel like we lived a very humble lifestyle, right? Like we love nice things. We like going on trips, but we understood and had certain morals and values that it wasn't just about living a lifestyle for what others perceived.
Right.
And I think that's so important because, like you said, it's clear, even with the pandemic, that so many things can just change in an instant, right? So many people losing their jobs, layoffs happening, not being able to just provide the essentials as groceries and a roof over your head for your family. It was very hard for a lot of people just with the pandemic alone. And so I think when you're in a position where you're expecting or just looking for what that person can provide for you at that moment, and you get into that state of mind, you're limiting yourself, because like I said, like you said, you don't have that provision to see past right now in this moment. And when you are able to do that, when you trials and tribulations do come, you're not just like, oh, now I gotta run for the hills because I don't know what's going to happen. I can't live the lifestyle that I live. I can't get the things that I want. No, when you're living that way, it's going to always be a point in time where you're going to hit that rock. And it's going to stop, because nothing is in life is forever. We're constantly changing, and it could be a setback. And so I think, like you said, when you have that provision, you're able to see the future and see what you can overcome together, with you not just limiting yourself to what's going on in the present.
All right, let's get into our last one.
I always wondered why relationships never worked after a baby. And now I'm realizing postpartum is real. And men be so insensitive to the fact that women gotta learn to love themselves all over again, while still learning to be a new mom. It is now clear to me that these are the most vital moments that will determine the depth of the relationship, because these are the moments a woman needs your attention, reassurance, and understanding the most. And the sad part is, some of y'all men can't even do that.
I think there are some things that are accurate in what he just said. Some. Very little. Let me tell you the 3 issues that I have with this, because I get it. These type of videos are popular on social media, but I oftentimes wonder where they're getting their information from. Because as a researcher, I'm going to look at the research and see what happens to marriages after people have a baby, rather than just pandering to women or, saying what my thoughts are. Because I think that a lot of this video connected with a lot of women, because you talk about postpartum, which is a real thing. And I think that women go through tremendous amounts of changes after they have a child. But is that really the explanation of why, in his words, relationships don't work after having a child? So my first issue is that he says relationships don't work after having a baby, which is simply a lie. The second part is he puts blame solely on the man. And my last issue with this is he tells men that they need to be more supportive. And he says that they just don't know how, but he doesn't provide information on how they can be more supportive. So my question is, are you just trying to break up the home? Are you trying to get the woman to see what her husband is not doing rather than providing the man with the information to allow him to be more supportive so you can actually help heal and bridge the gap in these relationships? I just have a lot of questions for what he's trying to do. And like I said, I'm a researcher, so I'm going to break down what the research actually talks about happens to relationships after the baby. Marital satisfaction does decrease for about 2/3 of couples after having a baby, but that dissatisfaction is only within the first 3 years. Then after the 3 years, it normally stabilizes, right? People who do have children are less likely to get a divorce than people who don't have children. People who don't have children have a 50% divorce rate. People who do have children, some studies show, have 25%. So that's about half the amount of couples who are getting divorced. So him saying that relationships don't work after having a child, like I said, is a lie. When you look at the research, some of the issues that lead to marital dissatisfaction are lack of attention and energy towards the marriage on both people, the husband and the wife, because now the relationship goes from being relationship focused or relationship centered to now it's child centered, where all the energy and attention is now going towards the child. The hormonal changes in a woman, what he talked about, postpartum and all that is very true. Women is going through changes physically, mentally, learning how to be a mom, and some of the dissatisfaction that happens in relationships is the criticism from the dads during that time. So in that sense, he's right that men need to practice more grace and be able to help out with the woman as she's going through those changes. So that's what I meant by I agree with him on a little bit of what he was saying. We also have money issues, the difference in parenting styles, the split of household and baby responsibilities. Like all these are the major variables that impact marital dissatisfaction in a marriage after having a baby. So the things, like I said, he didn't really talk about the things that people can do in order to help after the baby. So I wanted to go over a couple of things that people can do in order to build up that, or not just build up, but maybe maintain the marital satisfaction or build up marital satisfaction after having a baby. The first thing is that people need to be able to build a culture of appreciation and admiration, especially for husbands. We need to notice the small things that our wives are doing and not just notice them, but speak about them. Like if you're doing something, let's just say, man, you were struggling to put the child to sleep and you finally got the baby to sleep. And I'm like, yo, you did a good job with doing that. Like we may think that our wives already know that the things that they're doing, we appreciate, but it's a difference when you're actually noticing it and you're telling them that you're noticing the things that they're doing. Like we talked about earlier, have those stress reducing conversations, because stress really hurts a relationship after the baby, because it's so many things that you're trying to juggle right now that by having these stress reducing conversations, you find out from your wife what is stressing her and what you can help out with to alleviate that stress. Create rituals of connection that you talked about earlier, since a lot of these relationships go from being relationship focused to now child focused. Is so much more important now to have those rituals of connection where you can do things together as a couple to maintain or boost the marital satisfaction. And the last thing is just to become familiar with the signs of postpartum, because like you said, it is real. And it's important for us, especially as husbands, to look out for the signs of postpartum so that we can seek help if we start to see these signs. But yeah, this video, I feel like it's a lot of pandering, and I guess he got out the video what he wanted, which is a bunch of women sharing it, but it was no solutions.
To me, I feel like what I took from the video, well, my takeaway from the video, what you said, is just providing more information. And I feel like a lot of times on social media, you only get clips that's but so long, so you don't really get the full grasp of, okay, well, this is maybe a problem, but like you said, how do you resolve it? Mm-hmm. My biggest thing is in those situations, because a lot of times it is if you are a new mom, you're trying to navigate being a new mom, or maybe you're not a new mom. Maybe it's your second or third child, but now you're trying to navigate, okay, I had a child, I got the hang of it, but now I'm introducing another child and I'm trying to figure this out as well. So it's a whole new set of challenges that you're trying to overcome. I think for me personally, being in that position, it's important for your partner to understand what you're going through. Right. And so just being that support for you and being able to not only just hear, but be visual and see. Yeah. Right. Because, for example, even with what you just said, a lot of times if you say, oh, well, I saw you struggling and you got to put the baby to sleep and you did a great job. Right. In those moments, we need y'all to take the baby. OK, because a lot of times dads don't know. Right. It's like, oh, okay, you're doing this and you do need that reward sometimes. But sometimes we need y'all to just step in and take over. Right. And so with that being said, maybe it is, okay, well, let's have a conversation where if you see me doing this, I need for you to do that. But I think it's more so a lot of times we're just hoping that our partner just sees us in that moment.
That's what I was about to ask you. Why? Why hope? Because I think that a lot of women, I don't want to have to tell you what to do. I just want you to know.
It's not, I don't even think that for some people, it's probably that. But I don't even think that for me, I don't put that much thought into, I haven't put that much thought into, like, oh, I'm just hoping that he guesses, right? I feel like when I became a mom, it was just like instinctively, I moved differently. Right. I didn't have a book to say, this is exactly what you do and this is how you do it. Right. It's just like, it just happened. Like, okay, I know I'm going to be up all hours in the night. This is what I got to do. This is how I got to do it. I have to move in a certain way. And it's just like, it just happened. Right. And so when I'm doing that and I'm struggling, it's like you kind of like want your partner come in like a superhero, like with the cape on and just save me because you see me struggling. It's like if you saw me outside in the pool and I'm drowning, throw the raft out here to me, okay? You're not
like
just gonna
my man on the little ship down in wherever they was at where he swam across the thing to save him.
Don't just leave me out here. You're gonna come in and save me. You're not gonna say, oh, you're doing a good job trying to get to shore. Right. No. So that's what I think a lot of moms is hoping that you see me struggling, just come to me. Because sometimes you don't know how to ask or you don't know what to say. It's just like you just trying to do it yourself. Right. And you're not really thinking like, oh, I need you to come here and I need you to make this bottle. I need you to do this. It's just like you're just hoping someone sees you and they just do it. Let me ask you
something based off of what you said. You know how you said that once you became a mom, it's just like your instincts kicked in of how to do stuff.
For me.
Right.
Yeah.
Do moms think that is the same thing for dads? Do you think that the way that things instinctively kicked in for you is how it should be with fathers? No. Why do you say that?
I don't think for me personally, that's why I say for me, because I don't think that that's necessarily the case for all moms either. But I feel like for me, it was more so because I had this standard of who I wanted to be as a mom, what I wanted to do and how I wanted to be able to take care and nurture my child. So once I already knew, like, it's like, okay, I know what I'm doing. Not that I know what I'm doing, but I know how I'm going to go in and do this. This is what I want to do. This is how I'm going to show up. And it may not look like how I envision in my head, but this is just what's going to happen, right? And so I think that was more so for me because, like I said, a lot of women, that doesn't happen. And you're trying to get a hold of it. You're trying to get a grasp of it, but it's just like, it could be foreign to you. So everyone's different. I don't necessarily think, now maybe for some dads it comes natural or maybe some dads it doesn't. I feel in that sense, maybe not so much because as a woman, as we're bearing the children, we're kind of getting ourselves situated. And prepared for this. Right. And it's something that we've done over time. Right. So once you're like, okay, getting in the motion of the preparation and what's going to happen and how, like, I don't know. It's just, I don't know. It's like, for example, if you see your child, they're doing something, and this is for dads and mom as well. if you see your child doing something, you know that the likelihood of them doing that is going to result in them hurting themselves, you automatically like go and reach for them, right? It just happened naturally because it's just like, okay, I don't think, but I kind of know, so let me just do this. It just feels like that as a mom to me.
I'm just asking because I don't really know. I haven't looked at the research when it comes to this, but for me, I would believe that a lot of y'all instincts are innate biologically, that y'all are bearing the child, you know how to raise the child. I feel like that there are certain influences that children may go through which may take away that from them. But my hypothesis would be that there are certain innate abilities within women that are different from men. That don't mean that I think that men are just dumb when it comes to this, that we don't know when our partner needs help or we don't know how to raise a child. But I just think that we go through different stages. We go through different transformations when we become parents. But I don't know. Like I said, I haven't looked at the research about this, but I think that what you said is very important, that sometimes you don't want just a compliment. You want your partner to come in and help. Yeah. But even with this video, I know you said that sometimes you see stuff on social media where you may not be able to get in all the information. But I mean, I just looked at this video. Reels are allowed to be 1 minute and 30 seconds. This is 31 seconds. So he chose not to share that part of it.
I feel like it's important for when we are putting out videos like that to put, if you're saying, oh, this is a problem. Sorry. If you're saying this is a problem, then put the solution as well. Even if it is, you spent 30 seconds on the problem and it's 10 seconds on the solution, just provide some type of light to someone, because it's like you're looking and you're like, oh, okay, that registers with me. I am feeling this. And then it ends. And it's just like, okay, well, I guess what do I do now? I guess I just feel like this, right? So I just feel like when people are making those videos, and a lot of times it's just like the kind of like the clickbait type of videos, when you are making those videos, if you're putting it out there to actually help and change or provide change for people, that you provide that change, you provide that resource, that knowledge that they can actually use and implement in their relationship. So with that being said, you guys, we hope you guys enjoy this episode. Like we said, it's a lot of videos that y'all have sent us for us to react to. These are just a few of them that we decided to react to and share our thoughts and perspectives. And we hope you guys enjoyed it. And until next time, you guys, keep it real.
Yes, sir.